You're the best quarterback in the Sun Belt. It's Locked On Sun Belt.
You are Locked On Sun Belt, your daily podcast on the Sun Belt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sun Belt, your team every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. All right, great show for you today. Sound like I'm on 103.3 The GOAT and Sports Chat. We're going to talk Darren Grainger, or quarterbacks in the Sun Belt. Darren Grainger may be the best. We'll talk about early Marshall and Virginia Tech. When was the last time? Someone actually posted it on Twitter. I got to go back and look. The last time Group of Five school in the Sun Belt was favored, home or not, against a Power Five team. Not that they don't deserve to be, but you just generally don't see it. And an early Week 3 preview. All right, so we will do all of that here tonight on another edition of Locked On Sun Belt, your team every day. And again, I do appreciate you guys, continuing to support the channel. We're above 650 subscribers. It's like 400 in the last 4 months. You guys have been fabulous. It's taken off since June. Yeah, so about 4 months. And I really do appreciate it. Again, please subscribe and download. Please subscribe in YouTube. Also, for the audio, if you just want to listen to it, you can do that wherever you find your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, please rate and review. Spotify as well. You're welcome to subscribe there. I can see when someone does because the audio jumps in the download. So it is appreciated. Thank you so much. All right, let's talk Darren Grainger of Georgia State. They have a huge ball game Thursday against Coastal Carolina. Surprisingly, a 6.5-point underdog, a little bit low. That may be more on reputation than anything else. I would think that Georgia State would be favored if they were at home. I'm not sure Coastal has played all that well this year. I certainly understand at the beginning of the season what you would do, but I think Georgia State has played outside of not playing any defense against Rhode Island. They have played 2 good weeks in a row. UConn may not be as good as I thought. But they took care of that, and then they went on the road and took care of Charlotte. So they've played very well. Coastal Carolina did a number on Duquesne this weekend, so maybe that's where that line is coming from. But as we mentioned yesterday, we're kind of, looking at all those numbers. Darren Grainger leads the conference in total offense, among other numbers, and he is outstanding. And then I was trying to figure out who else would that be. Because you would go to Grayson McCall, right? You could go to Grayson McCall because he's only the 3-time. He's the only, 3-time offensive player of the year. And so he would be the guy, but he's not having the year that. I don't think he's having the year that Danny Grainger is. Not a chance. Now I got to go scroll all the way down here. Let's see where we are here. Because it is amazing. Number 1, total offense. This was, as of Saturday. So Darren Grainger, number 1, total offense, almost 340 yards a game. He's slightly below Davis Brin in terms of passing average a game. But remember, Grainger runs the ball a bunch. So he's only about 50 yards behind Davis Brin passing, but he's 40 yards ahead of him total because of the running. Passing efficiency, number 1. So I would think right now that Darren Grainger, through 3 games, is the best quarterback in the conference, okay? So who could it be? TJ Finley is off to a great start. Didn't play that well against UTSA, but certainly played well against Jackson State and certainly led Texas State to a win over Baylor. Grayson McCall is right there. I'm not sure about Gunnar Watson. I think he's a good quarterback. It's just really tough for him to bring Troy back. His numbers aren't awful. He's got 3 interceptions. I mean, his completion percentage is 56%. Even I can do that, 56 for 100 with 3 interceptions. He's got 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. All that Troy needed was a chance to get into field goal range, and he couldn't do that. Joey Aguilar has played very well, actually. He's got 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He's played most of the season so far in place of the original, was it Ryan Berger? Original App State quarterback. We'll see if Ryan gets back in there. But he's played well, almost led him to a victory against Carolina. And, had to come from behind against ECU before App State pulled away. Cam Fancher. He kind of is what he is, kind of a game manager. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Going to probably have to play a little bit better than that against Virginia Tech. My guy Bradley, Carter Bradley. 2 of his 3 interceptions were against Tulane late. So I always give a pass for those things because you're forcing a throw there. He does have 4 touchdowns, 2 very nice ones to Colin Lacey this week in their huge win against Oklahoma State. Billy Wiles has got some work to do, and Grant Wilson had a big ball game against the Cajuns. He had 4 touchdowns against the Cajuns. Didn't play quite as well against Wake Forest. But right now, Darren Grainger is your number 1 quarterback. I mean, he's got no interceptions. None. Davis Brin has 7, 5 in 1 game, plus a fumble. TJ Finley, how about that? He doesn't have any interceptions. That's outstanding. So right now, I would probably put, as quarterbacks go, probably put Darren Grainger 1, TJ Finley 2. I might put Joey Aguilar 3. And then Grayson McCall 4. And then put my guy there, Carter Bradley, number 5. Now you got to watch out for, in terms of offense, in terms of passing, I guess it is. We're not looking at passing efficiency. Jordan McLeod's got very good passing efficiency, just doesn't pass it very much. He's only attempted 68 passes. Remember, he didn't start the first game for JMU, but he played most of it. He hasn't thrown an interception yet either. And he led them back for a come-from-ahead victory, if you will, against Virginia. So Jordan McLeod's having a fine season as well. But I would, let me see here. I think for the passing efficiency, I'm going to almost go with that. Darren Grainger, TJ Finley, Joey Aguilar, Carter Bradley. From what I've seen, Grant Wilson's had 1 good ball game, so we'll hold off on that. Ben Wooldridge was having a fine season before he got hurt. 5 touchdown passes and 1 interception. So the question becomes, if he does Zion Chris get on this list? He was outstanding after a 90-minute rain delay. We talked about that yesterday. Had 171 yards in the air, had 103 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns combined. It was 41-3 when he left the ball game. We'll see if Zion Chris makes that. I'm not sure he's going to make the top 5 list anytime soon, but see what happens. If he beats Minnesota, he will. That's in a couple of weeks, but see what happens. Excuse me. If, he keeps on having those kind of games and the Cajuns offense kind of erupts. Although, they scored 38 points, 31 points, and 41 points. It's not, the Cajuns offense was not exactly struggling to score points, maybe struggling to be a little bit more consistent. All right, so I happen to think Darren Grainger is the best quarterback in the Sun Belt Conference. TJ Finley's right there. I put Joey Aguilar right after that. Carter Bradley there. My guy Ben Wooldridge also was playing very well, but he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So so Ben Wooldridge is out for the Cajuns 4 to 6 weeks. That's why Zion Chris is going to be taking over with Chandler Fields backing him up. All right, let's take a time out. When we come back, we'll talk a little Marshall, Virginia Tech. This should be a sold-out ball game there in Marshall. I would have no doubt about that. Doesn't even matter that Virginia Tech is not that good. All right, we will do that next. Let's talk about FanDuel having some fun, let me tell you. I mean, we'll get to this in a minute. But let me tell you about FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, well, I did win a little pool, got to pick a parlay, and wouldn't you know it, 3 of us had to split it, so it wasn't quite as big, but hey, that's plus. But when I was playing on Saturday at 1 o'clock, I was going to go 5-0. By 2 o'clock, I was 1-4. So we made a little bit of a comeback in the evening. Florida won and covered. Syracuse won. There seemed to be another one in there where I did okay. Lost on Colorado. But we came out even and now a little bit above even with the pool win. So having a good time. I have to learn about these cash out opportunities because I got greedy with the Georgia Southern game up 14-7. Like the difference would have been $5 between waiting to see if they cover and what I had the opportunity to take, and I did not take it. I should have taken it. I'd be up a little bit more. Anyways, I'm having a great time with the FanDuel app. Really easy to do from the couch. So I appreciate them being a sponsor and giving us that opportunity to do a little gambling here in Louisiana. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. This Marshall team had a little bit of an odd early week off to get ready for Virginia Tech at home. Probably not the worst thing, right? Because camp has been going since about the end of July, beginning of August, actually. Beginning of August. That's 31 days in August. You know, they were off. They were off this week, so they didn't play, but they probably still practiced a couple of days. Kind of get the weekend off, right? Maybe Friday through Sunday, something like that. Come back Monday or whatever the schedule may be. But they've been really going at it, as everybody else has, for 7 weeks now. And so it's not the worst thing to have off what the rest of us would think, boy, that's really early to have an off week. Someone else had it like week 2. So they had it week 1. They've had a couple of, I'm not sure about win and move on, but yeah, I guess it's the first one was they had to come from behind to beat Albany 21-17, FCS school. They put 21 points on the board in the fourth quarter against East Carolina. Defense has been really good in the second half. Offense has been a little bit shaky so far. Again, it's tough to get all that pissy, I guess, with Cam Fancher. I mean, isn't he like 8-1 as a starter? All right, so he doesn't look like Tom Brady or Joe Montana or Chad Pennington for that fact of the matter, but he's 8-1. He's winning. If he was playing the way and they were losing, then to be like, all right, maybe got to make a change, but they're playing that way and he's winning. So we'll go with that. And now Virginia Tech is coming in. I mean, it's going to be quite the scene in Marshall. That is going to be a fun scene. Hopefully it is sold out. Some of the places were not. I don't think they had a huge crowd, as big a crowd as they could have at the Rock for the Tulane ball game in Hattiesburg. ODU had a little bit of a disappointing crowd bringing in Wake. That was disappointing. Oklahoma State didn't have a problem bringing a crowd. They stink, and they still brought in a big crowd just to watch the Cowboys get trucked by South Alabama. Hopefully they have a good crowd in Mobile this week. It's Central Michigan. I'm getting confused by the Cajuns and the Tigers. It is Central Michigan going to Mobile, whereas Buffalo is coming to Lafayette. But this ball game is huge for Marshall. They could gain a lot of confidence by taking care of a team they should take care of. Now, I will say, checking out the lines, it was 7 at one point in time. It's going down to 5, which actually, if you're taking Marshall, helps. If you want Marshall, which I will want, just to kind of be right on that one. But it's going to be a great ball game, great atmosphere. It's kind of cool that Virginia Tech does that. It's very cool when these Power 5 teams go play on the road at Group of 5 schools, right? It is a no-win situation for them. If they win, they're supposed to. If they lose, someone's job is, on the line. It's usually an in-state or neighbor type deal. So, good for Virginia Tech to do that, and wishing Marshall all the best. These are the kind of things that, you kind of play for, and you get jacked up all week. The difference between baseball and football, it kind of has, baseball, you can't get excited every night, but it is an every night sport. So at least professionally, if you don't play well one night, you come back the next. And you can, get that bad taste out of your mouth. Football, you can't, but it kind of builds every day, right? You're still recapping it on Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday, you start to look ahead. And then Thursday and Friday, you're all psyched up. By Thursday, you're ready to go, right? You're ready to go cheer your team. Georgia State and Coastal, they got to get ready a little bit sooner. So that'll be a Thursday night ball game. And, a lot of teams, I think the South Alabama game got moved against JMU. They're going to be playing at noon on like ESPNU. Sunbelt's getting a lot of pub. And that Sunbelt East is much better than I thought. We've been over that. JMU looks good. Coastal looks good. Marshall looks good. App looks good. Georgia State. They are doing all really well over there, despite, the 5 interception debacle by Davis Brin. Georgia Southern is okay, right? So they got some good teams over there in the Sun Belt East. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. Already started kind of doing an early week 3 preview. We'll continue with that. But I did want to focus kind of on the Marshall being favored at home against Virginia Tech, because it just doesn't happen very often where Group of 5 teams are favored against Power 5 teams. Not very often at all. All right, again, let's take a timeout. When we come back, we will discuss the rest of week 3, early week 3, because you got to get it in with a Thursday ball game. It is time to talk to you about Gametime. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over tickets and start getting hyped for the fun that you'll have. What are some of the things you'll like about Gametime app experience? Well, they have flash deals and last-minute tickets, easy to find and buying tickets for every kind of event in your area, images of seat views and lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection. Gametime is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Let's look at the upcoming week of ball games. And there are some good ones. James Madison going out to Utah State. I don't think James Madison was all that big of a favorite. That was kind of odd. Because James Madison's pretty good. Although Troy did hold them to 16. They were averaging 37, and Troy found their defense. And they were only averaging, they only scored 16 last week. All right. You do got Virginia Tech going to Marshall. Troy's going to have their handfuls again with Western Kentucky. I think TJ Jackson is back for the Trojans. Austin Reed and company can put up some points. They might not be quite as good as they were last year, but always a dangerous team. Georgia Southern taking on Ball State. That's in Muncie, Indiana. Texas A&M Commerce against Old Dominion. ODU, a chance to get back on their winning ways. South Alabama, all of a sudden, looking to win, would be 3 in a row after really not playing well for 2 ball games. One of them a win. They could be winning 3 in a row. They're hosting Central Michigan. I think they're a 15.5-point favorite. Texas State, a big favorite. Love this storyline with Nevada. We've been talking about it all offseason. Nevada's last win, 13-game losing streak, by the way. Nevada's last win was against Texas State. Their first loss in the losing streak was against Incarnate Word. It was coached by G.J. Kinney, who is now the coach at Texas State. I love that story. Arkansas State taking on Southern Miss. From what we've seen out of Southern Miss, this is a winnable ball game for Arkansas State. Let's see if the Red Wolves can step up. This is a home game. If this was in Hattiesburg, I'd say something different. But this is a home game. Maybe they found a little something against Stony Brook. And Southern Miss got a good defense. Don't have a very good offense right now. Do not have a very good offense. And Frank Gore Jr. seen the boot following the game. So that's a winnable ball game for Arkansas State. All right. App State going out to Wyoming. Wyoming gave Texas all they could handle for 3 quarters before the Longhorns pulled away in the 4th quarter. Don't mess around with that one if you're App State. A little bit of a letdown game, right? Between, Carolina and East Carolina. Now you're playing Wyoming out of conference. You got to go all the way out there to the mountains. Don't sleep on the Cowboys. And as we mentioned, Buffalo taking on the Cajuns. This will be, not for all intents and purposes, it is Zion Chris's first start. He's played a bunch. Played last year. Played in the bowl game. Played most of the game against UAB, but he has not started a college football game yet. It's a little bit different when you got to sleep on it. Kind of like sleeping on a lead in a golf tournament in a major. It's different between first and second. Maybe one stroke, but you're either in first or you're second or not. And a little bit different sleeping on a lead than not being in the lead. And in this case, so in this case, Zion Chris, get my thoughts back together. Zion Chris will be the starting quarterback for the, again, quoting Mike Desimo, the foreseeable future, 4 to 6 weeks. All right. And at that point in time, it'd be, if he's playing well, tough to make a change. But at the same time, boy, if you're Chandler Fields, you better be ready. Don't think that you're not playing, because this can happen at any point in time. It's not Ben Wolgers' knee, it's his foot. And again, he's out 4 to 6 weeks. All right. Again, thanks very much for tuning in. Please continue to subscribe, putting it in all the Facebook groups. So please share it. You're welcome to do so. And again, so subscribe in YouTube and in the audio for Apple Podcasts and Spotify. They are in there as well. Again, thanks so much for tuning in to Locked On Sunbelt. We may, I'm not going to mind jinxing it, we may have Zion Chris, the Cajun starting quarterback, for Wednesday's show before we start to preview everything for Thursday's show. Got to preview at least the Georgia State Coastal game, because that's being played Thursday night. All right. Again, I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.